specific hazards and mitigation. Let us learn about cyclone and mitigation strategies. Cyclones. Cyclones are violent storms, often of vast extent, characterized by high winds rotating about a calm center of low atmospheric pressure. This center moves onwards, often with a velocity of 50 km an hour. 29th October 1999, supercyclones with wind speed 260 to 300 km per hour hit the 90-mile coast of Orissa with a storm surge that was created with Bay of Bengal with water levels more than 30 feet higher than normal. The superstorm traveled more than 250 km inland and within a period of 36 hours ravaged more than 200 lakhs hectares of land, devouring trees and vegetation, leaving behind a huge trail of destruction. The violent cyclone was merciless and killed thousands and devastated millions. Cyclones have been recurrent phenomena in the coastal parts of India. Warning: cyclones strike suddenly. Although it takes time for a cyclone to build up, satellite tracking can be tracked the movement, the build-up and the likely path of the cyclone. Warning and evacuation is done along the projected path. However, landfall predictions can give only a few hours' notice to threatened population, as it is difficult to predict its landfall with totally accuracy. The Indian Meteorological Department issues warning against severe weather phenomena like tropical cyclones, heavy rains and snow, cold and heat waves, etc. Cyclone warning is disseminated by several means such as satellite-based disaster warning systems, radio, television, telephone, fax, high-priority telegrams, public announcements, and bulletins in press. 14th November 2007, a cyclone warning was issued to the people living in the coastal areas of Orissa and West Bengal, as there was a likelihood of cyclone Sidr making a landfall in these states. The exact area of landfall couldn't be predicted. The Indian Meteorological Department and the administrative setup of the government, like the Department of Relief and Rehabilitation and the district administration, took adequate steps to relocate the people to safe cyclone shelters that were mostly constructed after the state faced a severe super cyclone in 1999. Even though the cyclone didn't affect the people, adequate earning helped the people living in the coastal areas of these states to be better prepared. Mitigation strategies. Structural mitigation. Multi-purpose cyclone shelters with suitable designs need to be constructed in appropriate locations in coastal areas. These multi-purpose cyclone shelters can be used as shelter when the cyclone strikes, and the normal times can be used as schools or community centers. The picture of the cyclone shelters shows the multiple use of the shelter at times when cyclone hits that area. The ground floor is used as a shelter for the livestock and the first floor for the community members. Engineered structures that can withstand wind forces need to be built. Majority of the buildings in coastal areas are built with locally available materials and have no engineering inputs. Good construction practice should be adopted, such as cyclonic wind storms inundate the coastal areas. It is advised to construct on stilts or on earth mounds. Buildings should be wind and water resistant. Houses can be strengthened to resist wind and flood damage. All elements holding the structures need to be properly anchored to resist the uplift or flying off of the objects. For example, large overhangs for roofs should be avoided and projection should be tied down. Protection against wind. Construction of houses either behind a mound or hillock and not right on the coast. This will act as a protection against strong cyclonic winds. Fishermen are normally affected as they stay very close to the coastline. Coastal belt plantation. Shelter belt plantation along the coastline will mitigate the impact of strong winds. It will also check soil erosion and inward sand drift, thereby protecting cultivation fields and houses which are located in the coastal areas. Construction of roads which are elevated. The East Coast Road from Kolkata to Kanyakumari is one such example. Non-structural mitigation measures. Hazards mapping. A hazard map will illustrate the areas vulnerable to the cyclone in any given year. It is an effective mitigation tool. Land use control design so that least critical activities are placed in vulnerable areas. Location of settlements in the floodplains is of utmost risk. Vulnerable areas should be kept for parks, grazing or playgrounds. Cyclone forecasting and warning. Better forecasting of cyclones, early and timely warnings to the people who are likely to be affected leads to better preparedness and reduced impact to life, property, livelihood and infrastructure. Summary. Cyclones are violent storms, often of vast extent, characterized by high winds rotating about a calm center of low atmospheric pressure. The Indian Meteorological Department issues warning against severe weather phenomena like tropical cyclones, heavy rains and snow, cold and heat waves, etc. Cyclone warning is disseminated by several means such as satellite-based disaster warning systems, radio, television, telephone, fax, high-priority telegrams, public announcements and bulletins in press. The Indian Meteorological Department and the administrative setup of the government, like the Department of Relief and Rehabilitation and the district administration, took adequate steps to relocate the people to safe cyclone shelters that were mostly constructed after the state faced a severe super cyclone in 1999. That is all in this topic. Better forecasting of cyclones, early and timely warning to the people who are likely to be affected leads to better preparedness and to reduced impact to life, property, livelihood, and infrastructure. Keep learning.